Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is?
All right, it is the 21st day of March 2010. We're going to your phone calls. Then I'm going to go through Reuters fact box details of final U.S. healthcare plan. This is a whitewash, but it still gives you an idea of how bad this legislation is. I'm going to go over this piece by piece and then get into what the nanny state is going to be like. We already know from Europe. But right now, let's go to your phone calls. Todd in Georgia, you're on the air.
What's going on, man?
Worldwide transmission.
Well, basically, about 20 minutes ago, I just called the White House myself, and Secret Service answered, and I informed them that our United States government was engaging in illegal activities, and I kind of pressed her conscience and said, you as a U.S. citizen, should do whatever, but for me, honestly, it's like, give me liberty or give me death. I don't want to see the country die. I don't want my freedoms to go away because what is life if it's not free? So what do you envision if they do, take over every single front and surround us strategically to where we're kind of entrapped by their commands and everything like that, and they totally enslave us? What should we do? Should we literally fight? I mean, if the info war does not suffice, or what is your personal opinion?
Well, number one, and I appreciate your call, Todd, every time the population gets involved with the global carbon tax in Copenhagen, we shot it down. Now they're coming back trying to implement by stealth. We got to fight again. We've been beating so much of the things they've tried to implement. We have to continue and get even more involved and take that anger to the streets, take it to the State House, take it to the City Council. If the people get involved, there's no way they're going to get away with this. The system wants to drive us into violence. That's why they prepared the military and police for it. We need to try to avert that. The Pentagon says that 90% of war is now psychological. We have to get out there with the truth that trumps their lies and use this attack on freedom as a wake-up call for people. William in Pennsylvania, you're on the air.
Oh, hi, Alex.
Hi.
Hi. I'm outraged by this health care bill. It's ridiculous. It's un-American. It's un-American. I can't.
It's slavery.
Slavery. You had David Gergen on CNN saying this is going to be Obama's legacy. I'm like, legacy. Yep. Hitler had legacy. Stalin had legacy. Had legacy. I mean, is this really what? He goes, I know it's not that.
Well, by doing that, they're even blaming it on Obama, like he did it when he's just a corporate guy reading off a teleprompter. So they put presidents in, build them up, destroy them. Once they're out of office, rehabilitate them. Instead of looking at Obama, we should think about the big banks that own the insurance companies that ram this through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree.
Well, I appreciate your call. In fact, I want to talk about Dennis Kucinich. Writing a note on that. Let's take another call. Let's talk to John in Texas. You're on the air.
Yes, how you doing?
Good, sir.
I just got a real quick comment and a real quick question. I've never really been involved in politics. I'm a truck driver, just an average American. It's just really ticked off. And, I just talk on behalf of thousands of us out there, that are feeling this, it's hard to listen to what's going on in the country now. And the question I had was, how in the hell did we get to this? It just boggles my mind how we could get to this place in our country. And one other thing is that you haven't touched on is the apathy of these kids nowadays. I mean, I try to tell my own kids and neighbors about what's going on in this country. It just falls on deaf ears. And that's all I had to say, and I'm hoping you can comment on that.
John, I appreciate the call. Answer those questions. Those are important questions straight ahead. Back in 60 seconds. Infowars.com, prisonplanet.tv. The Infowar continues. Okay, we're going to be taking your phone calls at 888-201-2244 on this live Sunday edition. Democrats along party lines, no Republicans voting for it, set to vote for a takeover of 1/6 to 1/7 of the economy. Those are conservative estimates. Some estimates are at 21%, or more than 1/5. Remember, they've taken over the auto industry, the global greenhouse gas tax emission taxes, selectively enforced against factories, coal plants, home inspections. The Senate won't pass that bill, so Obama says he's going to have the EPA do it. That's a takeover. The hate bills, further federalizing local police in the states. The takeover of the internet with cybersecurity. I want to get into some of that, but the point is, this is a total takeover, because the real way to make money and have power is to be a big corporation and come in and pay off the government to pass laws to make you buy their insurance. And that's why insurance company stocks are way up. They wrote this stinking thing. And remember, a few months ago, Dennis Kucinich of Ohio, the chairman of the DNC, Howard Dean, said, this is a ripoff. This is a scam. This cuts Medicare and Medicaid. This waters down care. This gives liability protection to insurance companies. This lets the government run health care. They're real socialists, at least they were on the surface. If we're going to rob from people, let's at least give the poor some health care. No, 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 no. You get cruddy health care that nobody accepts with the free health care, and then everybody else pays a huge tax on increased premiums and tax money into this system. And it doesn't kick in for 3 years, the first part, fully 5 years. So they steal hundreds of billions of dollars a year. Well, it's well over $1 trillion the next 5. They steal $1 trillion, and then they'll change it by then, and you'll never even get it. This is just a new tax increase to the offshore banks. The $28 trillion they've stolen the last year and a half isn't enough. It's not $787 billion. Pull up AP, pull up Bloomberg, pull up the congressional clips. It was $23.7 trillion 6 months ago. $28 trillion 2 months ago. We don't even know what it is now. Well over $30 trillion. Now, how did we get to this point is a question a lot of people ask. We became decadent. We put up with the Patriot Act violating the Constitution, and torture violating the Constitution, and illegal wars not declared by Congress. And we put up with police merging with the military. We put up with the federal government in 800 cities legalizing illegal aliens by fiat with sanctuary cities. The Republicans told us we had to get rid of the Bill of Rights and Constitution to protect us from terrorists. Now Obama continues that. Once you start violating the Bill of Rights and Constitution, the sky is the limit. This is slow incremental slavery, though. Notice this phases in over the next 5 years. Slowly, they put the chains on. Quietly, they sneak up and bound you in the night. But now Dennis Kucinich, paid off on an Air Force One ride, promised all this power, promised White House positions. Howard Dean threatened with an ouster. They all flip. The so-called pro-life Democrats, they flip with a fake executive order that hasn't even been signed and congressionally can't block the law. Now you'll pay for abortion. Every promise twisted. And people ask, well, why don't young people care? Why aren't they more upset? Why aren't they concerned about going into bondage? They haven't lived in reality. They live in your house. You pay for everything. They play video games 2-3 hours a day, 4.5 hours of TV. They're not living in the real world. They don't see themselves as active participants in a free republic. They see themselves as jellyfish. And that's why the system's moving with bondage against us now. That's how we got to this point. But meanwhile, you've got polls on average of over 70% against this legislation, but still they do it. Gallup polls over 91% against open borders and amnesty. 87% of Hispanics against it. They don't care. They're going to legalize illegal aliens next. Bring in unlimited numbers to further bankrupt the states so the banks get the country more in debt. This is a wrecking crew. This is a system where they are engaged in conquest financially. This is the banks that wrote this and did this. Now, I want to take a few calls, and then I'm going to get into Reuters. They have Fact Box, details of final U.S. health care bill. And I've read much of the bill. This is like the 5th version, this final one they made public yesterday. And this is all accurate, and it's actually worse than even what they say here. I'm going to go over some provisions we haven't covered yet. Key information coming up. Tom in Florida, you're on the air worldwide.
Hi, Alex. Great coverage and analysis. Well, this bill is an absolute outrage, to be sure, and it seems like these banks are just keep bringing us one disaster after another. My feeling about this is that in addition to the commerce laws over that the states might be able to use against this this is racketeering, pure and simple over so is it possible to use anti-racketeering laws as a way to
Yes, but the U.S. attorneys are controlled by Obama. And remember, George W. wouldn't go after Clinton for all of his treason. Remember all that. The Chinese generals in the White House, the sellouts, the drug dealing. And then Obama wouldn't go after Bush. So you watch. No, that's the problem. We've got to have state attorney generals go for criminal charges, which is constitutional. We've got to have state grand juries do this. If we're going to have criminal charges, it's got to come from the states. And look, these Congress people are not exempt. They are not above the law. I mean, at last count, more than half of Congress doesn't pay taxes or are behind on their taxes.